We now shift gears to a different perspective on cognitive development than what Piaget proposed. Piaget proposed an individual approach to cognitive development or learning how to think. Vygotsky came in and proposed a social context to cognitive development. He really put more emphasis on the surrounding of the child, the people that are around the child as they learn to navigate the environment and their surrounding. So he believed that cognitive development is embedded in a social context at every age, that we learn, yes, based on our abilities to understand things like Piaget said, but we're also affected by who are the people that are teaching us how to think or what to learn. So he believed that the child is kind of like a student learner. So he's an apprentice in thinking. Thinking is another term for cognition. So the child is an apprentice, is a learner or a student in how to think. And the teacher is the mentor. The mentor is the adult in their life. It's the more skilled person in their life, whether that be a teacher or a parent or an older sibling, and they teach that child how to learn things through what he called guided participation. So that mentor is going to present the child with certain challenges that can help engage their thought process and challenge their way of thinking. They help them as they navigate through it, and they do not take over the learning process. They kind of aid or walk with them as they are learning how to master it. And they also encourage the child as they are mastering the skill. So, this process of guided participation is embedded in a social context, according to Vygotsky, and highly connected to culture. And that is a good example for this is the way culture affects what skills the child learns. When it comes to, for example, eating. So as you can see, a child might be embedded in a culture that teaches them or guides them on how to use chopsticks in comparison to a child who is learning how to use or navigate the use of a fork and knife. So these two distinct cultural contexts are aiding the development of the child's ability to navigate or use a particular tool. So every learning that we do, according to Vygotsky, is embedded within a social context that is also affected by the culture. Now, in the process of learning or guiding the child, we are always taking into consideration the level of comprehension that the child has. So, according to Vygotsky, the best learning is going to occur if it is within what he called the zone of proximal development. And we've talked about this earlier. If you guys remember, we said that the child's ZPD is that magic middle where we can propose a challenge for them that they need a little bit of help or support, or we called it scaffolding, so that they can master it, but it is not so hard that they become so frustrated and give up, or it is not too easy that they don't really challenge their intelligence to learn the skill. So the zone of proximal development is that middle area where we keep the child engaged and at the same time with a little bit of support, they can master the skill. Now, children are naturally inclined to imitate or copy the adult because they really do think that the mentor or the adult in their life knows best. So they have a tendency to copy the actions of an adult because they want to learn from them. Vygotsky said that because of that inclination for them to imitate, they're primed to imitate, they sometimes fall into the trap of what is called over imitation. And that is the tendency of children to copy an action that is not relevant to the particular behavior that they need to learn. So, for example, if you are teaching a child how to bake something or how to crack eggs and make a cake, they might copy the actions of the parent to the T, as in maybe by accident mom lined up the eggs on the table, and before cracking them, maybe she rearranged the eggs or something, and the child, in their mind, they really hold the adult as an authority, and they already make up the assumption that the adult did that for a reason, so I must follow the instructions exactly to the T and imitate. And we see this sometimes when children do engage in pretend play or sociodramatic play, and they might be talking on the phone, pretending to be the mommy, and they might, adjust their tone of voice to a way that they are copying mom, or play with their hair, or use certain expressions or mouth movements that they watch the mom do, thinking that this is the only way you can carry on a conversation, or you can engage in a conversation exactly. So mimicking the exact steps or actions of the adult, sometimes without it being relevant to the conclusion, is considered an over imitation. Now, this is very common among children between 2 and 6 years old, because imitation is something that they really are primed to do, and they really feel that there is a reason for the adult to do it. The next slide will show you a short video that I want you to watch about over imitation, and it clarifies that concept a little bit more.